for the Susan Taylor Podcast, where we discuss the yoga of mind, medicine, and healing. Author of Feeling Good Matters, Sexual Radiance, and the Vital Energy Program, Dr. Taylor imparts authentic knowledge and practical tools that inspire, educate, and empower us to be a healing force for positive change. So join us and take your life and our planet to the next level.
Hello and welcome to Podcast 48. Do you have the guts to be resilient? In today's podcast, I'd like to talk about the science behind our connection between the gut, brain, and resilience. Talk about 5 diet and nutrition practice tips to help you reset your gut health for resilience, and discuss guidelines and principles to keep your gut healthy and vital. Everyone's talking about resilience these days, and we're all talking about it starting in the mind. And we know that this is true. But if your gut environment is not happy, you're not going to be resilient. In fact, you're going to have to really overcome a lot in order to maintain and build resilience. Because at least 60, probably to 70% of our resilience comes from what we call GALT tissue, gut-associated lymphoid tissue, which actually originates in the gut. So today, as I mentioned, I want to give you 5 nutritional tips that'll help you build a resilient gut. But let me give you first a couple of facts about your gut in case you're new to our podcasting and YouTube videos. The trillions of bacteria cells that are in our gut support our immune system as well as our mental states. And we know this because there's a direct communication that takes place between the brain and the nervous system. And recent scientific breakthroughs actually demonstrate this. The cells within our own gut microbiome actually affect how well we deal with stress and anxiety and overall affect our resilience factor. So knowing the connection between our gut, our feelings, and how we think even provides us strategies to help manage and care for this intricate network. Then I'd like to say, well, how are we going to get started with this? Well, I've created a list of 5 diet and nutritional tips to help you reset your gut's resilience. The first is to remove the allergens and the foods that cause inflammation. Everyone is different, so certain foods create certain problems for some and not for others. The main culprits that we look at in diet with respect, to the allergens or problem foods are soy, wheat, dairy, nightshades, again, dairy, some other cheeses, eggs, soy, sugars, as well as refined foods, alcohol, preservatives, and additives. That's quite a long list, but we kind of get the picture that there are many foods that actually cause these problems. And if you prepare a food diary or record what foods that you eat and how you feel after, you could start concluding what you should probably stay away from until you repair your gut. The second is to avoid gluten and grains and casein from dairy if you have digestion complaints. Scientific research has found that in some people with the ingestion of gluten from eating grains and casein from dairy foods actually produce neurochemicals that cause morphine-like reactions that occur. For example, if you eat dairy and you have this reaction happen, you're going to get very sluggish and want to fall asleep. I know for me personally, there are certain cheeses that I could eat and others I can't. It depends if they're made from cows that where we get A2, the A2 gene or the protein, or the A1. And I can tell I'll fall right to sleep or I'll have some issues with it. So I stay away from pretty much all dairy. I'll only have a little bit of it when I need to. And I do use it, but I don't use it the way I would really like to because I do love dairy. The third is to nourish your gut's inhabitants with fermented foods and probiotics. Fermented foods, which we call probiotics, they actually feed our gut bacteria and help them to develop better resistance and resilience to outside attacks. Probiotic containing, lactobacillus, that's just one of them. They've been shown to provide protection against increased permeability in the gut and help enhance our immune defenses. The other is the bifidobacteria. So they were the two. Many people prefer probiotic supplements over fermented foods just because they might not like the taste of fermented foods. But keep in mind that probiotic supplements are very susceptible to contamination or loss of potency. And for this reason, it's extra important to seek out a good company that maintains high standards. The next factor that we want to really talk about, the next tip, is to nourish your brain with healthy fats. You know, your brain is made mostly of fat, and by ingesting good healthy fats in your diet, that supports your brain function. Good fats include fats that come from natural foods like butter, milk. I just said about dairy, but some people don't have problems with it. Coconut oil, olive oil, and some fish oils. So healthy fats are very, very important for the brain. We've all heard that before. And the fifth step is to meditate. Meditation is an antidote to stress, even though I don't like to say it that way, because it's really, the purpose is not to be an antidote for stress, it's really to train the mind. But once you start training the mind, stress starts to not appear because stress is a perceived threat. So once you start training your mind, your perceptions do change and you're not perceiving things as threats anymore, and stress decreases. Research does reveal that including a meditation practice into your lifestyle can have profound challenges or changes in your brain with just 5 minutes. The reason what I was thinking about is the research does say bring meditation into your lifestyle, and you've always heard me say bring your lifestyle into meditation. That's the other way around, and I prefer to say it that way. So meditation is something that can be very useful. And it depends. Your meditation practice should be precise with concentration and a practice each day and over time. If it's done systematically in a skilled way, you will see tremendous results. So we have 5, and I'll repeat them again. Remove the allergens from the foods that cause inflammation for you. Avoid gluten and grains and casein from dairy. So the gluten from the grains and the casein from dairy. The third is to nourish your gut's inhabitants with fermented foods and probiotics. Fourth is to nourish your brain with healthy fats. And the fifth is to bring your lifestyle into meditation, but we can say learn to meditate, or if you're doing so, keep going and keep it happening. I have a list of general guidelines to help with your overall resilience, and there are 2 things with really relation to, actually there are 3, with relation to our dietary principles. Some of you had written to me and asked me about what are some, real easy things to follow that would help with resilience, and I wanted to include them in this podcast for you. And one is to do a seasonal digestive reset. So each season, when we have changes of season, I like to take 3 days and do a reset. And I usually take some students on at that time, or clients, whatever way we set it up, where what we do is we change our diet. We do it over a weekend. We do it from a Friday through a Sunday, and we just do a nice digestive reset. So our functionality in our digestive organs, they come back up to par. We give it a rest, and we also provide foods that are very easy on the digestion. If you'd like to be included in that, or you'd like me to contact you when that happens, just send me an email. The next one is to have at least 1 nourishing meal a day. So let's suppose you're out working and it's really hard. Make it a point to have 1 nourishing meal a day. It's very, very important to really sustain the cells. Remember, we talk about nourishment from a vibration perspective, so we want to raise our vibration, and we do that through nourishment. And then practice the overnight diet, the overnight fast, which I've been doing now for 3 decades. And when I brought this up 3 decades ago, intermittent fasting wasn't in the news as it is now. But practicing the overnight diet does require some skill. It's not just fasting whenever you feel like it. It's preparing for it, having the fast, as well as coming out of the fast. It's not anybody could fast and starve the body, or anybody can fast and nourish the body. But it's how you break the fast that determines the physiological benefits and psychological benefits that you will receive from a fast. And I'm not sure people are really mentioning that part to you. So keep in mind, general guidelines for those that asked, just do a seasonal digestive reset, have at least one nourishing meal a day, and practice the overnight diet. And that should help you in building that resilient gut that everyone really needs, because immune factor is very, very important. Our immunity is our resilience. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. And if you'd like to be notified weekly of new podcasts, please subscribe. You can also go to the YouTube channel right now and subscribe there. And you can get all the podcasts, as well as I'm starting to put some commentaries up there. And they'll be coming more and more over the weeks that follow. Contact SusanTaylor.org if you have any questions, comments, or feedback. And thank you for listening. And I'd also like to thank those of you that, again, are writing in. And I will, as I did today, address some of the questions, some of the things you might just want to hear. And remember, until next time, remain calm, consciously aware, living in the moment.